What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing? Fresh Monday morning. Fresh Monday morning. Yeah, we're going to get into some things today. We're going to talk about some things that nobody hardly ever like to talk about. Yeah, we need to talk about some things, man. It's just like crazy because um it seems like nobody's talking about certain things that's going on here in the city of Jackson. You know, I'm just gonna keep it 1,000 today. It was like for me. I look at these. I've been looking at these court cases that's coming up, and these court cases that passed through whatever, and talking about like these celebrity court cases and stuff. With to DiBiase Jr. and you got former Mayor Chokwe Antar Lumumba, and you got Attorney Jody Owens, and you got Aaron Banks. These cases coming up, and it's like I'm just gonna call it for what it is. I mean, these cats. I ain't worried about who. I ain't worried about who gonna get off and who's not. Cause I'm like this. One cat beat the feds. I wonder if these three cats gonna beat it. I've been harking on this thing for a minute, but man, I don't think they gonna beat that. I don't think they gonna beat that. Everybody, what I'm saying? Look, everybody got family. They got families too. Ted DiBiase Jr. got families. I know he got a family. But them three cats got families too. So I mean, the same grace is being shown for that cat. They need to show them grace for them cats too. Cause they got families. You know, they deserve to feed their families. They deserve to keep working and doing what they was doing with this manufactured crime that the feds done put out. They manufactured this crime. So I mean, I'm not feeling it. I'm not feeling it at all. I ain't feeling it. They didn't manufacture the crime for Ted DiBiase Jr. They didn't manufacture that crime for him. He literally had something. He literally had something. Was supposed to be legitimate, or it was legitimate. And he got caught up. So I mean, they manufactured this crime. They set these cats up. It's crazy, and I really don't believe they gonna beat it. I don't think they gonna. Man, the feds ain't gonna take no L. They ain't not finna take no L. Nah, they not finna take no L. If they take a L, bro, I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be. Let me say this: if they take a L, I'd be surprised. But they're not gonna take no L. Ted DiBiase Jr. just beat the feds. You think the feds gonna take an L? Man, please. They manufactured this crime. The first thing they're gonna say, well, they shouldn't have took the bread. And the federal judge gonna hit the gavel on them. They gonna hit the gavel on them off the rip. Let's talk about it, Jackson. I mean, let's keep that a buck here. Let's keep that a buck. I'm not looking at the. I'm not gonna even look. I'm not looking at it from a racial aspect. I'm looking at it from a. I'm looking at it from the nature of the crime aspect. The nature of the crime. That's what I'm looking at. That's how I said I don't think they're gonna beat it. I don't think they're gonna beat it. You know, and then they was trying to get them. They was trying to get those three cats. Separate. Separate. They putting them. They bunching them cats together. They bunching them cats together. Come on, man. Then they got. I mean, man, all this mess here is about control. This mess here is about control. I don't care what nobody say. It's about they got some kind of control going on, some kind of distraction going on, because, um, like I said, um, it's not. It's just this is just too. It's too neat, if so to speak. It's too neat. How does that? The feds come in. I'm just trying to make sense of this. The feds come in as buyers of land, and then they offer these cats some money, and then they're gonna come and catch them up. Man, that was to me that was some type of media distraction type situation. It had to be for some other type of agenda that's finna go down, and these cats getting caught up. And I think Ted DiBiase Jr. was caught up in that too. He probably was caught up in that too. He was probably, because he's a celebrity. He was probably caught up in that distraction type thing too. I'm looking at it from that standpoint. I mean, at first I was like, kind of like, I was kind of like looking at it from a black and white situation, but nah, this ain't about black and white. It's about bread. This is about money. It's about money and politics. Money, politics. I'm telling you. I was looking. I ain't even front. I was looking at it from a sort of like from a racial standpoint, but nah, I'm looking at it differently now, cause I'm seeing too many comparisons to the distractions that and the possible and the agendas that has already came up. You know how you say two things can be true at one time? Well, shoot, man, 5 things can be true at one time. They got this water thing going on with the city of Jackson. They got, you notice they don't hardly ever talk about the street situation, the 1% taxes no more. I guess they got that under control. You don't hardly ever hear them talk about the airport, which that's still pending. See, it's just like I said, they go from one distraction in the media to the next. And I really, really would like to see what is going to come up for them 3 guys, because that's going to really tell you the telltale sign on how this thing play out. Because if they get the same publicity that Ted DiBiase Jr. got, yeah, that's what it's a distraction. It's a distraction. It's a distraction. I'm just gonna tell you straight up. I don't care what nobody says. I mean, people say that this is my opinion. These are my opinions. It had nothing to do with the platform that hosts the 601 network, Real Jackson News. Had nothing to do with this. These are my opinions. But like I said, it's a distraction. It's a distraction. So somebody, it's like, somebody talk about, I think I can't remember where it was. I heard somewhere, they was talking about the case with Jody Owens and Chokwe Anzala Lumumba, and and it was like, yeah, I think it was on the news. I heard that they was not, that Jody Owens was trying to get it to where this was an entrapment charge, and they threw it all out. The judge like, nah, you know what I'm saying? And I'm not, like I said, I mean, like I said, 5 things could be true at one time. What's next after this? If these cats beat this case, which I don't think they are, I don't think it'll be the case. Man, let me tell you something. If they sent Ray Nagin to prison, the former mayor of New Orleans, come on, man. Come on, man. For some bread. For some bread. Nah, this cats, come on. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. It's possible. You know, but like I said, they tried to plead their case. They tried to, at the preliminary hearings and all of that. I know Jody Owens tried to put up a fight and say like, he had a drinking problem, this, that, whatever. My question, the smartest thing that cat can do, is check yourself in a rehab. That's the smartest thing you can do. They won't touch it. They won't touch it. The smartest thing he can do is go into a rehabilitation. They won't touch it. But I won't be surprised if they do. Come out. Hook them up with the jury. Hook them up with the jury. Send them straight to whatever prison. I'm just saying. Come on, man. It's crazy. But like I said, it's full of distractions, though. It's full of distractions. And like I said, it's got a lot. It's a lot more going on than what you think, Jackson. You think that it's something going. You think that that's what's happening, but they got something else going on, and it ain't gonna come out the wash until probably about 3 to 6 months later. You either probably during their trial, it's probably gonna come out the wash that they got something else going on. Something gonna strike up. They already got this thing with this Pearl River, widening this Pearl River thing. I don't know if you know Clinton, the data center coming to Clinton. They got a data center going to Brandon. I don't know if you know that, but they do. Go research that. They got a data center going to Vicksburg. I wonder what's going on with the Metro Center. I'm telling you. So you gotta, why isn't it? Look, pay attention. Don't just be like a news spectator about, what they, because, look, the mainstream news is only going to tell but so much. Because all that stuff was on their prompters, man, they told what to say. They told what to say. They are told what to say. They're looking at that camera, but they reading that prompter. And they told what to say. But they only going to tell you but so much. So, but you gotta stay a little bit more vigilant. That's why I constantly harp on these meetings, going to like these little local meetings and stuff like that. See what's going on in your neighborhood, what you can and cannot do. Look at that zoning. I'm gonna give you an example. Look at the zoning. Why is that zoning so strict? Well, that's what it appears. You can't put a big building around a small building, that type of thing. Why is that so strict? Why is that so strict? Why you can't put a big building around a small building? Why is the zoning so strict? Why do I gotta go to zoning to see if that particular certain area is equipped for certain type of business? I distinctively remember that they denied, I think it was out north somewhere, but they denied this tattoo parlor, because I think it was 2 tattoo parlors, I think it was, or it was something, but they was all within the same type of, I don't know if it was a tattoo parlor, 2 tattoo parlors being in the same area or what, I don't remember. I can't remember exactly, but I remember that they told them, nah, they couldn't do it. And that came, they put that down, they ain't come on the news. That was downtown. They came, that was in the city council. So one of the owners, business owners, came downtown, was discussing about that. I think that was maybe about a year ago or so. Might have been, I can't remember exactly, but I remember that clear as day. You can't put two alike businesses in the same area. Why is that? Why is that? Okay, case in point. You, the city is growing. The city is growing. The city is growing to the point where they ain't gonna have to have no choice but to go up with apartments. They got no choice. Eventually, they're gonna have to go up with these apartments to house a bunch of folks. Houses and stuff is gonna be not. You're not gonna see a whole bunch of houses being built like they used to be. Like the 3-bedroom conventional houses and things of that nature, unless they work, unless it's Habitat for Humanity or something like that. Um, yeah, that's the only time you'll probably see something like that go up. But as far as, but with this city, the way this city is moving, with all these nuanced businesses coming in, people gotta have somewhere to live. So what that means is probably gonna be more apartments. There's gonna be more apartments, more people occupied in certain areas. You know, wink, wink. South Jackson. South Jackson is one. You know, and but a lot of the owners out there in South Jackson still own them houses out there, and they ain't giving up their houses because a lot of times that property give them tax write-offs. They get fat tax write-offs with that property. If they have a business. That's why a lot of people not giving up the old school people that lived over there in South Jackson years ago. They ain't giving up them properties. They'll probably stay dilapidated and all that stuff, blighted and everything, and all they doing is paying the taxes on it, and they gonna come back and if they got a business, they gonna get a fat tax write-off. I'm telling you, this is what they doing in Jackson. I'm telling you, that's why they not giving up these properties. They ain't giving up these properties. That's probably why what was that? Food Depot? That's why they moved out. Because they couldn't own the property. They couldn't own the property. Maybe they didn't own. I don't think they owned that property. I don't think they owned it. I don't think he owned that property. And like I said, because I'm quite sure if he owned that property, he would have stayed, because owning property give you a tax. I'm telling you get a tax deduction on that property. Being that you own a business, come on, you're gonna get a write-off. You're gonna get a write-off. But I don't think he owned it. I think whoever owned it, they getting a write-off for it. So he was like, I mean, I'm out. But that hurts. That's hurting South Jackson. You got a thoroughfare right there. You got McDowell right there at the interstate. You got coming all the way up. You got right there. It's like you got Terry Road, McDowell. Boom. Everything is right there. Right there. Traffic. I'm talking about traffic-wise. Traffic. Come on. They don't care. They don't care. But like I said, that's the reason why they're not giving up these properties. You don't know that, but that's what's up. I'm telling you now. That's what's happening. That's what's happening. People not giving up these properties because if they business owners, they get a fat tax. They're gonna get a tax deduction. Maybe a tax credit. They probably get a tax. It probably be written off. It's a write-off. I was just looking at that. They literally write off their property. They'll write off that property. I'm sure of it. So y'all, but what I was saying is that folks gonna have to have somewhere to live. Where are they gonna live? That remains to be seen. That remains to be seen. Because if those people are not giving up those properties, that property's still going to stay there and it's still going to be blighted. And my thing my thing, it brings me to say this. When is the city council is going to start exercising their delegated authority to to bring up these ordinances for these people that have this blighted property? They need to start issuing fines, and I can guarantee you that's going to stop that mess. If they don't stop that mess, they need to take that thing. They need to put it in some type of legislation. Whether if it's not in a small legislation, it need to go to the state, because the state is the one that can get this thing done. What I'm saying is this: if you're not taking care of your property, if you're not occupying your property, and you're not taking care of it, when you get a certain many citations, you lose your property automatically. And they don't go to the state; they go to the city. Let the city take care of that city, and then the city can take that property, and they can build city housing. City housing. It's like they do in other states. You just asked out on your on your property. Is it, where's the fairness in that? Come on. Where's the fairness in you keeping it blighted? Where's the fairness in those owners keeping that stuff blighted? So they need to lose their property. They need to lose their property. I don't care what they're talking about. They need to put it, like I said, they need to put that thing in legislation. If you own property and you're not taking care of it, let's say you live somewhere else and that property is blighted and everybody in the community is complaining about that property, they issue you out citations and you don't answer, or they can't find you, they skip trace you and they can't find that individual, automatically lose the property. Automatically. And then instead of the state having, because the state, you go on the Secretary of State website, they got so much property, man, they don't even know what to do with it. And a lot of times they don't even take care of it. City got to come out and take care of that. Well, ward it over to the city, and the city need to go up with housing, and that revenue there can go to the city. City's in a deficit. Well, let's do something. Let's get with HUD. Let them get with HUD. Let the city get with HUD. Have them do that, and then let people go in there under affordable housing, up on the affordable housing situation. Up on an affordable housing situation. I'm telling you I'm telling you that's the only way that be another way that the city can generate some revenue. Which we know that right there could bring, bring a bad element. It'll bring a bad element if you ain't paying attention. But I'm not, they can do something like for the disabled. They can literally, they can do something like just like an apartment complex just for the disabled. Everybody, all disabilities, wheelchairs, blind folks, deaf folks, everybody, they could do something like that. Build a whole complex like that for the disabled. And then you have some other people too. You know what I'm saying? That wouldn't be, but it'd be mainly for the disabled. Because, it's not that many folk. It's not that many disabled folk. But if you focus on disabled people, you'll get the coverage, and then you can house other people. And I'm telling you, the city will generate money. That's just a thought. That's just my opinion. I just like I said, it's a lot they can do. Will they do it? Remains to be seen. Folks moving out, folks moving. I mean, traffic. But look, you got traffic in certain places that's constantly, saying going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. You got certain areas, for example, Bobby Rush Boulevard, Ellis Avenue. Okay, that's straight traffic. Straight traffic. If there's anything blighted, yo, call them owners out. Get that mess cleaned up. What's up with them apartments behind over there by that zoo? Is those apartments still there? I don't know. I'm just asking. If those apartments not there, they need to tear them down. Tear them down. I'm telling you, hold these owners accountable. And if they don't want to do it, shoot them a citation. And if they get too many citations, and they get too many citations, you go in there, you clean up, whatever. Y'all clean up. The city cleans up their property. Shoot them a bill. Shoot them another citation. After that, I do it 3 times. 3 times. And give them 30 days to respond. They don't respond, guess what? They automatically lose their property. Automatically lose their property. What they say, silence is acquiescence. Simple as that. You forfeit your property. Now it goes back to the city. Now the city can build on it. Put people in there that want to be here. Put people in there and have adequate security. I know a lot of these security companies would probably benefit from something like that because that's going to generate funds for them. A lot of security companies, some of these security companies can grow better, securing the properties, whatever. Then folks feel a lot different. Hey, it is what it is. That's just a thought. That's just a thought. But like we always say, it's too much like right. They got their own agenda. City of Jackson got its own agenda. You gonna remain like this? Well, no, you can't. I mean, something got to change. Is you gonna remain like this? And the answer is no. You gotta come up with something. You gotta come up with something. I really, really hope that Dr. Brackney stays with the city of Jackson. Because I feel her energy. But she can't do it by herself. She can't do it by herself. Everybody needs to be on board. Let me give you an example. Just like we got Capitol Police. We got the sheriff. Right? And we got JPD, right? Just imagine this for a minute. Just imagine this for 1 second. If you take a security team, right? I'm just giving an example. I don't know the names of these security companies around here. But if you take a security team and you legitimize them to carry weapons, give them peace officer status, that will relieve JPD and the Capitol Police. They can be in a prospective jurisdictions. They can be in a prospective jurisdictions. They only come out when assistance is needed. And that security team is on the same frequency as JPD. They got 2 They got 2 walkie-talkies. 2. Or 1 walkie-talkies just put JPD on 1 frequency, and they have their own frequency. Too much like right. And that right there, they put them security teams around Jackson in these apartment complexes and give them legitimate status. A lot of that stuff will stop. Because number one, you ain't putting no 1 or 2 officers in the apartment complexes. You're gonna put 3 or 4 of them officers up in there, especially if they're a little bigger than what they're supposed to be. I ain't talking about like them little 4 apartments. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got 2 apartments on the bottom, 2 apartments on the top. Now I ain't talking about that. We talking about something like, something big like like Camelot, old Camelot apartments. All these different apartment complexes where they got multiple apartments in them, where the security team is constantly walking around and they want to clock 24/7. Well, not necessarily 24. Well, they can probably minimize their manpower during the daytime. But from 4 to 12, 12 to 8, they got a team there. From 8 to 4, boom, they minimize their manpower. Come on, man. Man, come on. They can do that. They can do that. And that right there will relieve Jackson. You talking about presence. You talking about presence in they could mine these neighborhoods. JPD can mine these neighborhoods. Then they talking about parks department. They talking about the park rangers coming out here. Using. Come on, man. Park rangers coming out here to these local parks and stuff like that. Whatever. Kind of just driving around showing their presence. Please. If you put them security teams in a lot of those apartments, I tell you, that's gonna cover. And a lot of times, being that you have security, guess what? It brings your insurance down. That's why they don't want to do it. Especially these foreign apartment complex owners. Man, I don't even understand them. I wouldn't have them up in here if they would not obey the rules and regulations. You don't do that stuff. They don't do it in Madison. They don't do that mess in Madison. Case in point. I'm going to give a real case in point that I know they don't do in Madison. If you got an LLC, and let's say the registered owner is an LLC, and that's what they doing. They doing that like that. They get an LLC and they take the registered owner as that be an LLC. So you got the registered owner LLC and you got the original LLC. They don't do that mess in Madison. Madison is not allowing that. They need to cut that mess out. Jackson need to stop the brakes on that, because a lot of them foreign folks that lives out of town, they doing that. I'm dropping some sauce today. So, y'all need to take heed to that. That's how they can't be touched. They doing that. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just like me, I got an LLC, and I'm the registered owner of the LLC. Man, come on, man. It's like me having an LLC and then putting another LLC as a registered owner. And then it's going, and then it trickles. How they gonna find you? Because that could be a fake one. That could be a fake thing. It could be a fictitious name. Come on, B. Keep that a buck. Madison ain't letting that happen. You're not coming in there. You're gonna be legit when you come into. You're gonna go into Madison. Nah, Jackson need to hold them same standards, but now they ain't doing that. And for what I hear, now this is hearsay. This is hearsay that those meters downtown is being monitored out of state. Those tax dollars is going out of state. What's going on? That's it. But I'm saying this. I'm letting you know right now. This is hearsay. I can't confirm or deny, but I'm gonna do some research on it. And I'm gonna get back with you, Jackson. But what I hear that those meters downtown, they're so-called new meters downtown, they're being monitored from some company out in Houston, Texas. And so where's the tax dollars going? Is Jackson recovering those tax dollars? What's really going on? And if they're not, they need to be looking into that. And if they're not, they give me, like I said, allegedly. All this is alleged. Allegedly, there's a company out there in Houston that's monitoring those those meters. They're the ones that put that, they're the ones that have implemented them, and they're allegedly getting those tax dollars. I'm not for sure, but hey, it's crazy. And I'm like this, if that's the case, they need to be investigating that. Cause the meters, man, that's where your bread at. The meters is where your money at. And the only time when Jackson get some bread is when the meter maid go around and issue out a ticket, or if a ticket come in the mail or whatever the case may be, however that process works. But that's the only time. But allegedly that's what I heard. And some company out in Houston did implemented those things, is monitoring that. I'm like, well, where those tax dollars going? So he told about trying to find money for this and that and the other. Okay, well, keep looking, because like I said, if a lot of stuff like that is going on, then they need to be addressing those things. Well, that's it for me, y'all. I'm glad to come up on this Monday morning and kind of chop for a minute. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow, and we'll see what happens. If something pop off, we're gonna talk about it. Raphael, talk to you later. Peace.